Yeah. And all the questions are the same actually. Yeah, so please just pay attention. Okay. So these are the lesser, can see, right? So these are the lesser objectives. Mainly, we want all the cadets to be able to identify and differentiate between ranks and insignias, okay, and understand the basic organizational structure of St. John Brigade. Okay, you should also be able to identify various appointments at the brigade district and district level. So if you watch the video, you should understand that there's a difference between ranks, insignias, and appointments. Okay, and most importantly, the thing that's most applicable to us is paying of compliments when you see your senior or during ceremonies. So all these I'll elaborate further using the quiz results. Okay. Yep. So this is the lesson outline as mentioned earlier. So these are the general questions feedbacks from the quiz. Okay. So these are the questions I got. So how many levels are there in the brigade? What is the form of address for sergeant major? And do you greet or salute first? So all these I will elaborate in the respective sessions. So I'll just carry on first. So first part is ranks versus insignias. So this is the quiz result. Yeah. So I can see that some people are confused between the ranks and the insignia. So to simply put, right, your insignia is like a logo, it's like a symbol. Yeah. So you multiply or you put different insignia together to give you a rank. Okay. So as you can see here, there's people answering warrant officer grade 2 corporal as insignias, which is like wrong. So if you all are not sure why your answers are wrong, I will further explain later using like photos of the rank. So maybe it'll be clearer for you all. Okay. So as you see the definition, so the rank is your position. So most of you in your cadet days, you should see all these ranks. Okay. So these ranks are for secondary 1 to secondary 5 non-commissioned officer. So it's private to your senior staff sergeant. Okay. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between a cadet member and an adult member? Does anyone know? If you are too shy to talk, you all can just type in the chat. Yes. So Justin, want to answer?
Let them try.
It seems like no one is very sure of the difference between cadet and adult. Oh yeah. Thank you, Dania. Adult members are the one officially working in St. John Brigade. So maybe Sir Justin, you want to help them clarify?
That's a good attempt, but I'll give you a hint. Definition has something to do with age. Yeah. So what about age? Don't say we owe. Make sure you phrase your words carefully. Give you a bit more time to think about it.
Okay, this is a good attempt. But simply put, right, cadets are defined as members who are 16 years old and below. So in fact, all of you are cadet members. Yeah. Yes, correct. Thank you, Rui Hua and Yu Yang for answering. Yeah. For 17 and above are adult members, okay? And for 16 and below are cadets. Okay. So let me carry on. So this is for non-commissioned officers. So now the next one will be the warrant officers. You just take a look. You might not be very familiar with these ranks, right? So function of warrant officers, so they do things like your drills, parades, and they handle regimentation related matters. Yeah. So in terms of hierarchy, right? Let me go back to the previous slide. So your cadet and adult members will be of the lowest seniority. These are the cadets. And then subsequently, it will be your warrant officers. So these two categories belong to the non-commissioned officers. Okay. So next, I'll introduce you to the commissioned officers. So they are they are higher on the hierarchy compared to the warrant officers and the cadet and adult members. Okay, so increasing seniority. So I think you'll very rarely see all these ranks. The most common ranks you will see are the warrant officers or maybe your seniors in school. So if you have watched the lecture by Daryl sir, right, you have seen this quiz lah. So I just clarify, when I say list the following ranks in increasing seniority, right, and then I give the answer, right, it's just the number doesn't represent the seniority. It's the sequence lah. So when you rank 4, 3, 1, 2, right, this is the correct answer. So among these 4 ranks, right, the rank with the lowest seniority will be your senior staff sergeant, okay, because they are your cadet / adult member, non-commissioned officer, and followed by your warrant officer grade 2, because they're also non-commissioned officers. Then subsequently, it will be your staff officer grade 1, and then your super grade 4. So like what I explained earlier, right, your insignias are basically, you see those symbols on top of the rank. You multiply ranks, or you put different insignias to give you a rank. So example, if I go back to previous slide, right, 1 chevron gives you the lance corporal rank, but if you multiply and add on, it gives you the corporal and the sergeant rank respectively. So far, is everyone clear on the difference between ranks and insignia? If you are still confused, right, please just raise your queries in the chat. I see there's no comment, so I will just move on. Next to brigade organization structure and appointment. So this is the quiz result. Which of the following are appointments? So some people answer sergeant, warrant officer grade 2, and senior staff sergeant. So as I raised earlier, some of these names should sound very familiar. Like for example, sergeant or senior staff sergeant. These are ranks. So these are people you might see even more often in your school because they are your seniors. So to clarify further on, I'll go through the quiz result for your organizational structure. Okay, so then later I further clarify. So just now earlier, some people asked how many levels are there in the brigade? So as you can see, the correct answer is 3. There are 3 levels. So later I'll also show you what are the 3 levels in case you all don't remember. And similarly, some people are not very sure on what is or what is not a brigade appointment, because I understand it can be quite confusing because if you have watched the slide, there's this whole chart on and there's different appointments and it can be really confusing. So likewise for this. Okay, so answering the general question on how many levels are there in a brigade. So there's the national headquarters. Then there's your districts and there's your corps. So for your national headquarters, right, it consists of the different districts together with the departments. Okay, so they handle specialized work that concerns the entire St. John Brigade. So for example, first aid department will handle first aid for the entire St. John or any events that concerns first aid. So for your districts, right, we have a total of 5 districts. So your districts oversees each corps, which is equivalent to the school. So the NCOC course that you're attending right now, right, is organized by your district. And then for corps is the things you do in your individual school. Okay, so I move on. So some of you might be confused with this because you cannot match faces to the appointments, right? So maybe later, as we dive in deeper to what each of these roles, like for example, your chief commissioner, your chief medical officer, who are they? Maybe I'll let you know the names. You all can Google them and then you can match faces to the appointments. Hopefully that helps you in remembering. So as you can see, you have your 5 districts below your national headquarters. Your east, north, northeast, northwest, and southwest. So now in the chat, can you all tell me what district are we in? Which district do we belong to? Yeah, very good. I see most people answering the same thing because you can probably find your own school under Northwest. So yeah, we belong to the Northwest district. So this is the district organizational structure. So like what Sir Daryl introduced earlier. So this whole NCOC course is organized by the leadership department. You see at the bottom. So actually you see, although the name, it says head administrative wing, head manpower, head this and that, right? Each of these appointment, right, it refers to a committee, like, essentially. And obviously there's a head leading this committee. And that's the appointment. So firstly, it will be your district commander. Does anyone know who our district commander is? Come, my first use. You all know who's our district commander? Sorry, district commissioner.
Does anyone have a picture or something can share?
I don't think so. I don't have a photo offhand also.
Okay, so basically our district commander is I'm sorry, district commissioner is Yan Li sir. So he oversees like the entire district matters lah. So next in line will be, next will be Yu Fan sir, as you can see over here. Yu Fan sir, you want to say hi?
Hello.
Yeah. So he's our district superintendent for both administration and operations. So he's taking up multiple jobs. Yeah. Okay. So next will be the district medical officer. It will be Dr. Atoro, right? Yeah. And for our nursing officer is Josephine ma'am. Right. Okay. Then district sergeant major is Jake Edison. So these names you might not find them very familiar, or maybe if you in future when you attend courses, right, you might be able to meet them because they'll probably take part in the courses also. So maybe you can just take note and just gloss through all these appointments. So head operations wing is Jonathan sir, and head training wing for now is Yu Fan sir, right? Yu Fan sir. So head admin is Jing Jie sir, head logistics and finance is Ken Leong sir, head life support first aid is Ayin ma'am, head home nursing is Jocelyn ma'am, head drills is our district sergeant major who is Jake Edison again. Then head leadership is Daryl sir. You want to say hi again? Yeah, he's the one who gave you all the course brief earlier.
Yeah, hello. I'm also the head of training wing, by the way.
Yep. Okay. So head community engagement is Yuan Lin ma'am who yep. So most of the heads are actually not around. So you probably just see Daryl sir, Yu Fan sir, Justin sir. Yeah. Hello? Oh, okay, yeah. Head of manpower. Justin, say hi.
Hello, I'm head manpower. Yes.
Yeah. So essentially, right, appointments are jobs given to certain people holding certain ranks lah. So some people might confuse what is a rank and what's an appointment. So you just need to remember rank. Rank is essentially so appointment is just a job, but rank is something that you're kind of like tag to, right? Yeah, progressively. So next I will go on to paying of compliments. Okay, so you just need to take note that paying on compliments is made out of two things. So firstly, it will be the saluting and basically standing at attention. And secondly, it will be a verbal greeting. So when do you pay compliments? You pay compliments to a person or during a ceremony or towards a certain symbol such as maybe the Singapore flag. Yep, you are doing flag raising and such. So situations where you should pay compliments, right? As you can read, is when you meet a commissioned officer. So earlier on, I introduced non-commissioned officers and commissioned officers. So when you meet a commissioned officer, this is when you need to salute them because they are commissioned. And if they're just your seniors who are non-commissioned officers, right, you just need to verbally greet them. So other situations where you have to pay compliments to non-living things will be such as flag raising, flag lowering, singing of national anthems, etc., or when you are in a parade. So these are scenarios when you should not pay compliments. Essentially, to summarize, right, you don't pay compliments when it is inconvenient. So it doesn't really make sense if you're carrying a heavy stuff or maybe you're attending to a casualty. Then when the senior walk past, you go and greet the person. It doesn't really make sense. It's kind of like common sense. When you see someone in front of you and you are free, then that's when you go in front and greet them. When it's inconvenient, like when you're in a public transport or in public places, then you also don't go over and salute them. It's just very awkward. Yep. So maybe I think some people might be confused on the sequence of greeting. Just now earlier, there was a question raised lah. Do you salute when do you salute and when do you verbally greet a person? So you salute a person only when you're in proper headdress. So example, when you're in your half uniform, when you're in your full uniform and you're wearing your beret, that's when you salute the person. If not, you just go up and you just greet, good afternoon, sir, good afternoon, ma'am. Yeah. So when you see, as you can see, the procedure of paying of compliments, right? You always stand at attention first before you greet the person. So if you're in headdress and you see someone in front of you of a higher seniority, you stand at attention. If you're wearing headdress and it's a commissioned officer, you salute. So after you salute, you just greet, good afternoon, sir, good afternoon, or good afternoon, ma'am. Then if the person is also wearing a headdress, they will salute you back and do a verbal greeting back to you. After they cut it down, then you cut it down. So this is like the full process of paying compliments. So can I just check, right? I'll just throw. Oh, Daryl sir raised a question. Have y'all worn the St. John uniform before? Has everyone gotten their St. John uniform, or all the secondary 1 students? Really, y'all can just answer yes, no? Yes. Not yet. Some yes, some no. So for people who haven't received the uniform, such as LVs, DVR, have you all seen your seniors wearing uniform, wearing the full St. John uniform before? No. Elvis, you don't have your uniform, but have you seen anyone wearing the full St. John uniform before? I've seen people wearing it. Okay, very good. So okay, so for the benefit of people who haven't received their uniform or maybe hasn't seen the uniform, right? Let me just share and show you guys how it looks like. Can you all see my screen? So this is how our St. John uniform looks like. So when I say headdress, right, I mean the beret that these cadets are wearing on the head. Yeah. So if you receive your uniform, I'm sure you all know how to wear your headdress, right? How to don on your headdress, right? So maybe I just ask a few questions because everything I go through are verbally gone through, but maybe I throw some scenarios, then you all can answer me on how you would pay compliments. So if you are rank PT kid and you see a commission officers, so when you pay compliments to this commission officer, do you or do you not need to salute him or her? So you're in PT kid and you see the commission officer, do you need to salute him or her? Think everyone got it right. Yep. So because precisely like what I say, you are not in your uniform and you are not wearing your headdress, so you don't need to salute. You just need to go up to the person and just as a form of respect, verbally greet the person. So if you are in half U and you wear a beret and you see your senior, for example, maybe your sergeant, and you want to greet your sergeant, do you need to salute the person? Okay, very good. So most people answered no, which is the correct answer, but I also see people who answered yes. So essentially like what I mentioned earlier, you only salute the person when firstly you are in headdress and secondly the person you're paying compliments to is a commissioned officer. So I hope this clarifies. Okay. Or if when then the next question comes. So example, you are doing a physical activity, example games day, then a commission officer come down to visit. So while you are playing your example captain's ball, do you need to salute the person? Okay, very good. Everyone answered no. So like what I say, if you don't need to pay compliments when it's disruptive to an activity you are doing. Okay. So there's one thing that I would like to highlight because I'm not sure what your core practices are, but then understand that sometimes when you are in a group, example you're in your squad, and some corps have the practice of greeting, example your senior in group, like people will just 1, 2, 3, then everyone just greet good afternoon sergeant together. So I would like to take this opportunity to clarify that the proper procedure of paying compliments, right, when you are in a group it's the same as when you're alone. So, but with the fact that, except that, okay, example, I'm in a squad currently and I see an officer in front of me. So all I have to do is to ask, is to tiam everyone. So everyone knows what tiam is, right? Just mean to cease movement and just keep still. And then one representative from the group will go forward. And if you're in your headdress, you salute, you verbally greet the officer, then you cut down and carry on. Asking them to go back at ease. Does everyone understand this concept of greeting in a group? Because I know some corps will just greet all together, which isn't the correct procedure lah. Okay. Okay. So let me ask you another question. If you are with your squad mates and then you see a group of officers coming towards you, so how do you pay compliments to that group of officers? Do you pay compliment to one person or do you pay compliment to the whole group of officers? Seems like everyone is quite clear on the procedure. So most people Thank you, Rexton from Hwa Chong and Andrew from Hwa Chong also. Highest rank 1. So can tell that y'all listen to the lecture. Yeah. So this is where the order of precedence comes in. So it's a hierarchy which determines the seniority of the brigade. So precisely because when there's a group of officers, you only greet the one in hierarchy of the highest seniority. So how exactly do you determine who you should greet, right? So we'll look at the person's appointment. So example, if you see Daryl sir and you see me, who will y'all greet? Who y'all choose to greet? Like I said, like I introduced earlier, right? So Daryl sir is the head of the leadership and training department, and I'm a member of the leadership department. So if you see the both of us, who will you greet? Yeah, okay, very good. Everyone gets the idea of appointments. So precisely because he has a higher appointment, when you see him, you greet him and not us lah. So okay. So if you have two people of the same appointment, then that's when you look at next the rank of the person. So it can be Daryl sir and someone else, two heads of two different departments. They both have similar appointments, but if you are not sure who to greet, right, you look at the rank. So obviously the one with the higher rank is the person that you should greet. Typically we don't go past rank, length of service and down to like date of appointment lah, because typically when you see a group, you straight away greet the highest ranking, which is either the person with the highest appointment or the highest rank. There are very rare scenarios where you have to go down to checking the person's length of service and date of appointment. So this is just a summary of what I said lah. How do you determine who to greet when you see a group of them? Okay, as I mentioned earlier, paying of compliments is boiled down to two parts: the saluting and the verbal greeting. So saluting is only when you're in headdress and when the person is a commissioned officer, or maybe when you're in a parade, when you're put into a position where you have to follow procedures and pay and salute. Okay, verbal greeting is obviously you verbally greet to a human, right? Not during a parade or to a non-living thing. Yeah, so this was what I went through earlier. Okay, so the last part of the slides shows you the forms of address for different ranks. So some common misconception include, so you see at the bottom, right, you have your corporal and your lance corporal. So understand that some people, when they see the lance corporal, or when a private sees a lance corporal, they'll call them like lance or lance corporal, but actually the correct form of address is simply corporal for both corporal and lance corporal. Yep. And another unfamiliar term, right, is chick. So chick just refers to female warrant officers. So like what I mentioned earlier, like Chick Ellison. Yeah, I hope this is clear. And the other address are quite straightforward, as it is. So there was a question that was raised during the quiz, right, which was, how do you address a sergeant major? So a sergeant major is a warrant officer, but because he or she is given this appointment, right, it is all right if you just address your sergeant major as sergeant major or SM. Okay, so this was the quiz that was shown. This was one of the quiz questions. So maybe now you all have attempted the quiz, right? You all can just type in the chat what is the correct answer. No, actually everyone is giving the correct answer. So it's 4, 3, 1, 2, 6, 5. So essentially, let me just read this. So when Corporal Nicole Ang is in the HQ, she's walking across the car park alone in full uniform and headdress. So first thing to take note is that she's in headdress. And she meets a commissioned officer, your staff officer grade 5, who was dressed in PT kit. So like what I mentioned earlier, if you're alone and you see a commissioned officer, the first thing to do is naturally stand at attention. Then you salute the person because Nicole is in headdress, right? Yeah. Afterwards, you verbally greet and you wait for the commissioned officer to return compliments. So in this case, right, since the commissioned officer is in PT kit, he's not wearing any headdress, he does not have to salute back. He just has to verbally greet back, good afternoon, Nicole. Then afterwards, after he returned the compliment, she just have to cut down her salute and then carry on with what she was doing. So as I can see, everyone answered it correctly lah. Yeah. So similarly for the next question, it was also in your quiz. Can we just quickly come up with the answer? Okay, so everyone give very similar answers. Give the same answer. 4, 2, 4, 3, 1. Okay, that's very good. So Corporal Michelle and squad mates meet a group of officers who came to visit, and they were dressed in full uniform but without headdress. So first thing to take note of. And then while the group of district officers were dressed in PT kit. Okay, second thing to take note of. So go through the options, okay? So because Corporal Michelle was in a group, so like what we have discussed earlier, right? If you're in a group, only one representative needs to go forward and pay the compliments. So first step will be for Michelle to tiam the group, which is exactly what all of you have stated, followed by verbal greeting, good afternoon, sir, ma'am, depending on towards the person with the highest appointment, rank, or seniority, essentially. So similar to the previous question, you wait for the commissioned officer to return his or her compliments, and before calling the group to return to sitting at ease and carry on with whatever you were doing. So it seems like everyone's very clear on the concept of how to pay compliments. So up to this point, does anyone have any questions regarding paying of compliments? You can just type yes, no in the chat so that I know whether everyone is clear on all this.